welcome to FaceHammer. In this video, we are going to showcase Jim's awesome Nurgle army. So, we've been talking to Jim on Facebook. He sent us some lists and some pictures of his models, and we thought we'd share those with you and just go through his models, and because we thought they were cool. So, we just
they're really good.
Little video to show you those off. So, let's probably start off with his centerpiece, I guess, because let's just go straight in.
Yeah. So it's the bit you'd look at if you saw it on the table, right? So
yeah, this is Jim's Khorne Nurgle Demon Prince, but yeah, it's fine. I think that's probably why he's got red armor, but you know, we went through his lists on the other show, so if you want to check those out, you can. But this is Jim's Demon Prince. I think it's pretty cool. It's like heavily converted.
Yeah, like I say, like just looking at it, it looks like there's bits from. I can see Gorby's chariot. I can see the axe from the Crackerdrak. I can see wings from a. It looks like.
I'm going to correct you. I'm going to correct you on all of these. No, Vargheist wings is good. No, it's good. So the body's the new Ogre Tyrant.
Okay, cool.
The axe is from Bulgors.
Okay.
So the tail is Demon Prince, feet is Demon Prince, left hand's Demon Prince. The wings are from Crypt Horrors or Vargheist.
Yeah.
The head is from the Chaos Chariot. So obviously the Gore Beast.
Chariot. Yeah. Cool. So I only got 2 bits right.
Okay, that's fine. And he's painted him as Khorne, but he has a Nurgle plate on his belly and a Nurgle on the base, so he could play him as Nurgle as well. So he's covered his bets.
Covered his bases, yeah.
So he's made sure that he can go there. But I quite like. Speaking of his bases, I quite like his base. It's quite weird. It's like he's used a lot of layer pigments and effects, and I think the splashes are actually like blisters, a bit like the old David Soper melted blister pack technique.
Yeah. I was going to say, it looks like there's like sewage coming out of the pipe and stuff, and it looks really cool. It does. It's almost like it kind of looks like it's sort of like in an industrial place, like which is. I mean, most of his army lists have been based around the realm of metal, so I guess that kind of works as well, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's very like very striking base. That the green and the orange is, they very warm to look at. Which goes quite well with the just quite striking, I suppose, with like the blue and the red and the orange. It just works quite well, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of texture where you've got like these different bits of foliage. You've got this skull that looks submerged, like in the gunk, which I really like, and this like horrible Nurgling that's been splurged out of this pipe. And I think the actual paint job on him as well, he's used quite a lot of like edge highlighting and sort of contrast, I think, to get the base coats down, so it's pretty effective. I quite like his glow on his runes as well. He's done quite a good job on that.
I've just zoomed in on it and stuff as well, and like it's just little details, like again you can see the ogre tyrant sort of like the waistcoat that it's got, but yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, so I mean, we're on the back view, and you can see like the hash marks he's done on his highlights, which I think is really cool. And I don't know, it's quite an interesting base from the back as well. There's all these cavities in this bark, and there's like a skull poking out and things like that. So yeah, it's super interesting. So
I like the texture on the wings. Like I know we covered that off and stuff. I think he's done it. Like it's very easy to leave those bits and just have a wash, but the texture that he's got on the membranes look really cool.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool, interesting conversion. And so we go on to his one of his knights, which is the banner bearer.
Okay, cool.
And again, he's used his splashes to great effect. Looks like the guy's kind of like splashing through the muck and rolling over the orangey rocks. I think the base is really interesting. The armor's super kind of Nurgly as well, and I think the colours he's used is Militarum green over a grey sear undercoat, and then if he wants rust, he's used Gorgonta fur to paint on where the rust will be, and then he's varnished it and then put down Scrag brown on the rust, and then he's edged with
Yeah.
Elysian and Ogryn camo, and then done some pallid witch flesh spots.
Yeah, it's you can see with the militar. It's militarum green, isn't it? You said
Yes,
for
yeah.
the model. It's got that brownness to it as well. So like it looks, even though it's he's applied it as a contrast, the recesses have got like that brown tint, and I'm not sure whether that's a wash that he's applied or whether it's just
I think he's gone in
like
with Gore Grunter to sort of go in into the
yeah.
recesses a little bit. So
Yeah, it adds that depth to it, which is really nice. And then, like, obviously, he's got the edge highlighting in the. I really like it when people apply the scratches to the edges of some sort of armor plate to show the wear and tear. It's very sort of um, like comic booky graphic, sort of like the cross hatchings, which is like really aesthetically pleasing to me. I think it's really good.
yeah, I'm quite a big fan of the skulls on the top of the banner because they look like quite smooth.
Yeah,
And I think the banner itself's really interesting, where the way it's, you can see it's almost like stippled on, but big stipple marks.
yeah,
So it almost has that distressed kind of like worn look to it. So I think it's, you can almost see the brush strokes, like where the brush is, he's pushed the brush down and lifted it off and left a
mm,
watermark. But it's a Nurgle army, and having these sort of stains on a cloth would look realistic. So I think it's quite a
yeah,
cool. What I like about this is quite an artistic army. Like it's quite, it's not the neatest paint job in the world, but it's Nurgle, and it's interesting. And I think
yeah.
as an army, it
There's
looks super effective.
there's definitely a style out there. Like for me, painting Nurgle, I always find really difficult because that's not how I paint models. I'm very clean and crisp with how I do things. So I always like seeing people their take on Nurgle armies because it's not in my wheelhouse. It's not how I paint models. I'm very, very much from the GW school of how I highlight and how I apply stuff. Whereas you can tell that like Jim's got like a bit more like I'd say like an artistic flair with how he's applied it. And it's nice to see armies like that. Like not everyone has to try and paint like heavy metal painters. Sometimes you can paint how you like and get a really good effect just by leaning into what you find pleasing and what you're good at, and like Jim's applied these really well. You don't need to do like I would look at that and paint it green and then try and edge highlight it 3 times and have really crisp, clean edge highlights, and it wouldn't necessarily look nurgly, whereas this does because he's sort of like lent into those browns and greens and applied it with like not I don't like using the term messy style, but it's that's kind of like how he's done it, which is cool. Like it's really nice to look at.
Yeah, I think the it's interesting where he's got like the turquoisey washes and the orange as spot
Mm.
colours to really like just break it up a little bit, because I was thinking it'd be too green because it's going like a lot of green armor, green cloth, and he's got a purple cloth on there,
Mm.
which is a nice contrast again. But I think I like the rust spots and the spots of verdigris, which kind of breaks it up. But the bases I think are really interesting. I quite like how
Yeah,
the rocks look like they've almost got green staining before they hit the slime. So,
yeah,
and then he's got another knight here, which has got his bloody flail, and he's kind of he's on top of the rock rather than going through the gunk. But again, it's more the same, but it is super good. He's got a whole unit of these, but again, the bases are really interesting. I think they're one of the parts of the army I really like. Um,
yeah. Because they're busy, but they also like tell the story, don't they? If that
yeah,
makes sense.
it's just little
Um,
details like having a rusted
yeah,
sword, like a guy who's like in between the rocks with a rusted sword sticking out of him. It's like it's so easy just to
yeah,
not put that on at all and just have a rock, but he's put like the little shrubs. And I really like this luminous green like oxiding of the slime's almost contaminated the rock, where it's
yeah,
not just a rock and slime and there's no cross contamination. It's, you can see that this horrible slime is actually affecting it. And you can see the two knights together there, and they look really cool. And they're hard models to paint as well, Chaos Knights.
oh
So
yeah, yeah. That stopped me doing my slaves army just because they're just so intimidating. They take so long to do. You know.
yeah, and then if we go on to like his warriors, they're pretty cool. I mean, this guy's got his little Nurglian mascot with the bell, which I super like. I like the gloss on the bubo on his belly. It looks ready for
Yeah,
popping, but yeah, super cool. I really like the new warrior models, so I know there's been some conversion work done, but I think
yeah.
again, it's very simplistic in terms of our green. The color scheme's fairly limited, but I quite like how it's been applied. Um, and I like
I
the
quite like
brass
the
helmet.
brass helmet.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say the
literally the
brass
same
helmet's
thing.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I really like the brass helmet. It adds something nice to it. There's you look in when you like zoom in on them. There's quite a little bit of conversion work on each one. I never used when I built my warriors. There's one like with a skull and sort of like fur pelt head with like a bare face, and I never used it, but it does look really cool when you see it as like a whole for the warrior unit. I'm not sure if you're looking at the picture of all of them all
At the
together or
moment,
if
I'm
you're
just looking at the banner where he's got the severed
yeah,
head and he's got his proper hunch on with his purple scaled cloak.
yeah.
I really like that, and that's the banner from the ogre Mornfang cavalry, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, Montfang Cavalry. That's such a good banner to have there.
And I know you
That's the only
mentioned the set doesn't have back command, does it? And he's
no,
converted them up
yeah,
quite well, I think.
it's a really nice touch. I think that's the only downside with that slaves start collecting boxes that the knights don't come with any command other than champion, and the warriors don't come with any like banner bearers. So you always have to convert them. So like bear that in mind if you start your warriors armies, making sure that you got your bits from eBay or whatever
I like as well,
to
like
make them work.
where he's got this guy with a mason shield and he stood on a big rock. His cape is almost like it's drudged through the slime, so he's got greening on the edge of the cape. That's really cool. And obviously got a guy with like a plague bearer head,
Yeah.
and then
I'd like the sort of like he's got like the tufts are really nicely done on the bases,
yeah,
but he's got sort of like bushes and like parts of trees, and they just look really really nice. I'll be interested to see where like Jim got them from because they really add to the model. They don't just look like they look like they're part of the base. Because
yeah,
sometimes when you just stick sort of like bits of branches or trees and stuff on, they just don't look as good, or not as good. They just look like they're not
yeah,
part of the scenery or not part of the model. Where all of the bases and all of the models, they feel like they're part of it all.
yeah. So he's done a lot of wet blending up on the. He's put so much effort into the base. He sent me a list. He's got all Vallejo
Yeah,
pigments on there. I think the only and he says tufts you like, where any tufts you like, and he said he put an Agrax Earthshade on the tufts to blend them in a little bit.
oh, that's really cool.
And he says that you can, put some old like skulls and weapons and stuff like that, and you
Mm.
can use fishing line or cut plastic from blisters to make water splashes and stuff. So, and he's used like Nurgle's rot to slime it over. But I think, yeah, really cool. And he's got his Marauders. He's doing quite an interesting conversion with witch elves and dryads. They're quite interesting.
Let me
I,
have a look.
I guess they're like, he's got like a Sister of Slaughter model with a Nurglian on its whip, and
Yeah,
I think the Marauders themselves, I think it maybe because in like the realm of life, I know there's a lot in Gairan and it's almost like corrupted dryads and elves because that's where they're from. So I think it's quite an
yeah,
interesting take on a Marauder conversion unit, and he's got some like the arm and bell from the drone kit on one of the dryads, and he's got like shields, and they've got like scratch marks and Nurglings and stuff. So he's tried to Nurgle them up as much as possible. I think it's quite an interesting concept. It's not something I would
yeah.
have thought of doing, to be honest.
No, it's very different, but it also works because like those barbarian marauder models that GW have released, they're a little bit dated now, I think, and being able to use different models to represent that is fine. I think it looks really good.
Yeah, and I think if you look at like the army shot where you can see the models he's got done, obviously he's not finished his army yet. He's got like the couple knights and the warriors and the dryads. So he's done a bit more since he sent me the pictures, but so from the army shot, I think it's quite nice how he's added enough height to the demon prince that he stands above the infantry. So
Yeah,
when you take a picture, he's like the marauders kind of come to his feet and then he's above them. So when you put him in the background, them in the foreground, he stands up, and it's quite a clever trick to get when you add height to an army that doesn't have a lot of height.
yeah,
But it's quite an interesting way of doing that, but I quite like how he's approached his cloth and banners with
Mm.
those realistic marks and staining.
When you look at it as a whole in that army shot, where it's kind of like, you've got the warriors and the marauders there. It just, yeah, like the banners really look nice as well. Like they stand out enough because they seem cool compared to the rest of the army, and the texture is like quite visible even at a distance, and it just looks really characterful.
Yeah, and I think it's quite a cool. I think as when the whole army's done it, it'll look really good. So
Yeah,
interested to see when
really, really
it
good.
completely finished. He has actually sent me a bonus pick, which is his converted Lord on Demonic Mount. I'm sorry, I zoomed right in on that fly's face, so that might have scared you a bit. So
Yeah,
he's used the Carcadrak Lord, I think,
yeah,
and he's on a drone, and he's done that to pretty good effect. So I think that looks super solid. The bum of the drone is like oozing slime. It's pretty disgusting.
yeah.
But I know it's a model he's just finished.
Mm.
So these pictures are a little rougher. So I have to apologise. But again, it's more the same. Put the green stain on the cloak, and he's got the lovely
Yeah.
base. If it was,
You can see the brown in the armor quite
yeah,
nicely as well on that one.
yeah. I think if it was me, I probably would have put more height on it. Like I had a big rock. It was kind of on.
Yeah, use the Crackadrak because isn't the Crackadrak on a rock
I
as
don't
well?
know. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
I would
like
have just
the lizard's climbing up the rock, so you could have almost had it climbing up that as opposed to being.
because you could have almost hung its like abdomen over the edge of the rock and then had it gunking into the
Yeah,
pool. But it's still really cool. I mean, obviously, I know the base is quite small, and it might have allowed him to be a bit more adventurous with the legs, to
yeah,
have a bit more out. But it's still really cool. But I mean, I saw some conversions of the Blight, Pascal Blight Lords on like skittering drones, which looked disgusting. But yeah, I think it's quite a cool idea. I think the base on this one is a little bit more simplistic. I don't know if that's just because it obviously building it and getting in and around the legs is hard. But yeah, I would have probably tried to have put a bit more height into that model. But maybe didn't want it as tall than Demon Prince. I don't know, but it's still cool. Um,
I definitely like the cloth, the cloak and
Oh,
stuff, and I
the
think he's
cloth's
done a
some of
good
my
job.
favourite things in the army.
Yeah,
The like the way he's
yeah,
done the hashings and the staining on the cloaks. I think it looks really nice. Zoomed out, you've got almost the cool turquoisey grey black, and it goes into like brown into green.
yeah.
It's quite a wild transition, but it works.
I think he's got like that ruddy skin tone down quite well as well. It doesn't detract away from the army. It kind of feels like they're part of, because sometimes if you put like skin tone on like Nurgle stuff, it's either super pale and really stands out, or it's a little bit too warm and it doesn't quite sit right. But I think the skin tones that he's chosen to use works quite well.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's super good. I do like it. I think as he puts more time into the army, I think it will look really good. But that's his stuff. So we just wanted to share that with
Awesome.
you. So thanks for sharing that with us, Jim, and good luck getting it all finished. And let us know how your games go. And if you agree with our thoughts in the other show about your Demon Prince and sort of amalgamating the Marauders together or doing something different with the units, then let us know.
Yeah,
But yeah, good luck to you, and we'll
yeah.
look
Good luck,
forward to
Jim.
seeing the finished army.
Yeah, and if you liked this and you thought that it's something that you'd like us to do with your army, please get in touch. Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, or even through I believe our emails on the website. Let us know, and we can talk about like our thoughts on your army if you like that, and if you like what we're saying, like please comment below and like and subscribe and do all that jazz. Like hit the bell button. We'll get notifications when we upload videos, which we're doing quite a lot at the moment. But yeah, just let us know what you like, and I'm sure Jim won't mind you letting us know what you like or don't like. It's really good.
Yeah, and yeah, say if you've got any models you want us to look at, and send them free to us, and we'll have a look, and maybe we'll collect a bunch of different people's models up and do like a
Get like
highlight reel.
yeah, get like a sort of like a sort of gallery of sort of people who sent stuff into the show. You can be part of the FaceHammer, like army gallery that from listeners.
Yeah, and if you want to stick stuff in our Discord, in the Paint and Showcase channel. That's a good way of us getting to see it. That, or contact us on Facebook or Twitter, you know. But
The Discord link will be in the description as well below if you haven't seen it yet. So,
okay, all right. Well, thanks for watching this, and yeah, we'll speak to you soon.
awesome. Cheers, guys.
Bye.